Funding for Not a Vampire is provided by viewers like you. Find perks and bonus content at patreon.com/notavampire. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm done. When I started watching I'm in Love with the Villainess, Watashi no Oshi wa Akiyaku Reijo, it'd be funny if this was the time that I actually got it right. When I first started watching the show, I said to myself, if I hate it, I'm not going to force myself to keep going. And I'm kind of in that spot. I don't necessarily hate the show. It's not... I guess it hasn't super offended me or anything. It's just gotten rather boring. I'm starting to feel like I see the ones and zeros, the sort of like the thought process behind it. It's doing something that I realize I absolutely hate in isekai, or basically any sort of magical world, but I've been noticing it more in isekai. Funnily enough, I've been noticing it recently with villainous related isekai. Does Endo and Kobayashi's commentary, does that count as isekai? It kind of falls in there somewhere. Basically, I've started really noticing when world design and character design is basically our world, but make it magical. Which just means, like, adding, like, the ability to use magic and make it vaguely historical, kinda, usually lean more towards, like, either medieval or Victorian age fashion, which kinda just ends up being just put the girls in long skirts and dresses, except for when we decide we don't want them in the long skirts and dresses because they'd be so sexy in pants or short skirts. And then the guys, they basically end up wearing suits. Just suits or some sort of button-down shirt with pants. Pretty generic. And for the most part, the fashions are things that we could expect to see today. I specifically think of the tracksuit, the fucking tracksuit in Kobayashi and Endo's commentary, and then I was seeing it here in this show. The fact that they basically wear Japanese high school uniforms, from their regular clothes to the gym uniforms, the fact that they wear tracksuits for gym and other such activities, and it's just gotten more apparent to me going into the Founders Day Fair, which is just a thinly veiled cultural festival. I may not have ever lived in Japan, but I have seen enough anime and know enough of the culture to basically recognize all the typical anime high school Japanese isms in this supposed fantasy world. And sure, you could legitimately hand wave it as, well, it's just a badly designed, badly world built otome game. That's just how the game is. Any shortfalls in world building or character design is because the otome game was just bad at that. And that's fair. My problem then is that it creates a world that is not fun to inhabit then in an isekai. And I'm sure it all goes back to being spoiled by a sense of bookworm. Even still, with all of that, I'm struggling to really be engaged in the show. I'm struggling to find things to talk about that I guess I'm interested in discussing. Like, sure, this recent episode, I've lost count, is it like 6, I think? There was definitely more development going on with Claire and Ray's relationship, where Claire gets to be the one to save Ray from the rather racist stereotype foreigner. That's another thing that rather bothered me about this, and kind of is leading into my decision to quit the show. But the mechanic here is supposed to be that whichever prince she has the most affection with is supposed to come and rescue her from that situation, but instead it was Claire. That she has actual affection stats with Claire, no matter how much Claire tries to hide it. And then it leads to you wondering what Claire saw with that amulet. Like, does it give you a vision of who you actually love the most? Did she see Ray? Is that what led her into trying to distance herself from Ray and trying to assert the commoner noble divide? Something that kind of sucks that hasn't really been commented on, at least in the show, is that Lane, I don't know how to say her name, but Claire's maid, she doesn't get to go to school. She doesn't get to be part of the magical academy, but her brother is. He gets to go to school. So it's not necessarily only nobles have magic. Lene could reasonably have magic, but she doesn't get to go to school. She instead gets to be Claire's maid. That's kind of messed up, isn't it? But other than that, part of the reason I didn't make a video last week about the show is because I really had nothing new to say. It's kind of the same old. I guess there's secret machinations going on in the background. We don't really have an idea of what exactly is going on. Rei seems to have an idea, but she's not saying. We're probably not going to find out until later. And it's just still a lot of Rei teasing and tormenting Claire while saying that she loves Claire. And I don't really find that fun. And it also really doesn't leave much for me to talk about. I'll probably keep watching the show on my own just because now I'm kind of curious to see where it goes, but I think I'm out of things to say on it. I kind of had a feeling, like from episode 2, that this show was not going to be for me. Again, I just am not drawn into the villainous archetype. I just don't get the appeal for villainesses, and it's not my cup of tea. So I kind of already knew that this show wasn't going to be targeted for me, but even still, I'm finding it hard to enjoy it. On top of that, the very, very lackluster copy-paste world building and character design and costume design, and just how frequent the borderline sexual harassment is the butt of the joke, how Claire responds to it, and honestly, I think it'd be more fun if I wasn't making a video every week about how I have the same old complaints and just let people enjoy the show on their own. I'm not sure if I'm going to start watching another show to replace it. I was thinking about watching the Apothecary Diaries when the season first started, but I'm not sure. I might attempt to put more effort into longer form videos just because I kind of get the sense that no one really watches this anyways. Thank you very much for tuning in, and until next time, whenever that is.